Captain Elena Vasquez stared out at the massive space station floating before her ship. The structure was unlike anything humans had ever seen. It stretched for kilometers in every direction, made of a strange crystalline material that seemed to shift colors in the starlight. This was the Council Station, home to the rulers of the galaxy. Elena had been traveling for 3 weeks to reach this place. Her ship, the Prometheus, was humanity's newest and fastest vessel. It had taken Earth's best scientists 5 years to build it, after they discovered faster-than-light travel. Now, just 6 months after making first contact with alien life, Elena found herself representing all of humanity before the most powerful beings in the universe. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant James Park from his position at the communications station. His voice was tight with nervousness. "Put it through," Elena replied, straightening her uniform. A holographic image appeared in front of her. The being that materialized was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Its head was elongated, and where humans had eyes, this creature had clusters of small glowing orbs. "I am Coordinator Veltar of the Zephyrian Trade Federation," the being said in perfect English. "You will follow our ship to the docking bay. You are not to deviate from the prescribed course. Any attempt to scan our station or record our technology will result in immediate destruction." The transmission ended abruptly. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. This was not the warm welcome she had hoped for. 20 minutes later, Elena walked through the airlock onto the Council Station. The corridor was enormous, designed for beings much larger than humans. The walls pulsed with soft light and the air tasted metallic. Coordinator Veltar waited for her, along with 2 guards that looked like walking suits of armor. "Follow me," Veltar said without any greeting. "The Council will see you now." They walked for what felt like hours through winding corridors. Elena saw dozens of different alien species going about their business. Some flew through the air on translucent wings, others rolled along the floor like living boulders. A few looked almost human except for their silver skin and completely black eyes. Finally, they reached a massive circular chamber. In the center was a raised platform with 12 seats arranged in a circle. Each seat was occupied by a different alien being. These were the rulers of the galaxy, the species that had controlled space for thousands of years. The largest being rose from its seat. It looked like a mountain of living crystal, with faceted surfaces that reflected light in all directions. When it spoke, its voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. "I am High Arbiter Zinthara of the Crystalline Hegemony," it announced. "You stand before the Galactic Council, the rightful rulers of all civilized space. You will listen and you will obey." Elena forced herself to remain calm. "I am Captain Elena Vasquez, representing the United Earth government. We come in peace, seeking friendship and trade with the galactic community." Several of the council members made sounds that might have been laughter. Zinthara's crystal body flashed with bright light. "Peace? Friendship?" Zinthara said. "You are children playing with forces you do not understand. Your species has barely learned to leave your home world. Yet you dare to speak of joining the galactic community?" Another council member leaned forward. This one looked like a giant insect with multiple heads. "Humans are dangerous," it hissed. "We have studied your history. You fight constantly. You destroy your own environment. You cannot be trusted with advanced technology." Elena felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice steady. "Every species has had conflicts in their past. Humans have learned from our mistakes. We want to contribute to galactic civilization." "Contribute?" Zinthara laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You will be assigned a sector of space appropriate for your level of development. You will not exceed the boundaries we set for you. You will not develop certain technologies. You will not ask questions about matters beyond your understanding." The High Arbiter gestured with one massive arm. A holographic display appeared showing a small cluster of star systems highlighted in red. "This is Sector 7G, Zinthara explained. 15 star systems with suitable planets for human colonization. You will not leave this sector without permission. You will not attempt to contact species beyond your assigned level." Another council member, this one resembling a floating jellyfish with tentacles covered in eyes, spoke up. "There are limits that all species must respect. We call them the Great Barriers. The void threshold marks the edge of safe space. Beyond it lies only death. The neural ceiling prevents the development of artificial minds that could threaten all life. The quantum wall forbids research into dimensional travel that could tear apart reality itself." Elena listened to the long list of restrictions. Humans were forbidden from developing advanced AI. They could not build certain types of weapons. They were not allowed to study specific areas of physics. The list went on, covering 847 different technologies and activities. Why so many restrictions? Elena asked. If these technologies are dangerous, why not teach us to use them safely? The chamber fell silent. Elena could feel the hostile stares of 12 ancient species focused on her. Finally, Zinthara spoke. Because some knowledge is too dangerous for young species to possess, the Council has maintained peace and order in this galaxy for 50,000 years. We will not allow one primitive species to threaten that stability. Elena nodded slowly, but inside her mind was racing. There was something these beings were not telling her. She had spent her career studying alien cultures through the limited contact humanity had made with the Zephyrian Trade Federation. She had learned to read the subtle signs of fear and deception, and right now she could sense both coming from the Council. Of course, she said politely, humanity appreciates the wisdom of the Council. We will respect the boundaries you have set. Zinthara seemed satisfied with her response. Good, but words are not enough. You must understand the consequences of disobedience. The High Arbiter raised one crystalline arm. The chamber's walls became transparent, revealing the vast space around the station. In the distance, Elena could see a large asteroid floating peacefully among the stars. Observe, Zinthara commanded. A beam of energy lanced out from the station. It struck the asteroid and something impossible happened. The space around the rock began to twist and bend. Reality itself seemed to fold in on itself. Within seconds, the asteroid simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not broken apart, but erased from existence as if it had never been there at all. This is the power of the Council, Zinthara said. This is what happens to those who defy the Great Barriers. Remember this demonstration, human. Remember it well. Elena stared at the empty space where the asteroid had been. Her scientific mind struggled to understand what she had just witnessed. The energy readings her ship's sensors had detected were beyond anything human science could explain. I understand, she said quietly. But as Elena was escorted back to her ship, her mind was already working. The display of power was meant to intimidate, to make humanity submit without question. But Elena had noticed something in the brief sensor readings her ship had managed to take. The energy signature was strange, almost as if the weapon was not quite what it appeared to be. As the Prometheus departed the Council station, Elena made a decision. Humanity would comply with the Council's demands, at least on the surface, but they would also investigate. They would learn, and if the Council was hiding something, humans would find out what it was. After all, it was human nature to ask questions, even when the answers might be dangerous. 6 months had passed since humanity's first meeting with the Galactic Council. Human colonies were spreading across their assigned sector, and from the outside everything looked normal. Trade ships moved between worlds carrying supplies and colonists. Mining operations extracted resources from asteroid belts. Children played in the parks of New Geneva, humanity's first successful colony world. But beneath the surface, things were very different. Dr. Marcus Webb worked late into the night in his laboratory beneath the Swiss Alps. The facility was officially listed as a research station for agricultural development. In reality, it housed humanity's most secret project. Webb and his team were studying every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on. Any progress with the weapon fragments? Webb asked his assistant, Dr. Sarah Kim, as she peered into a quantum microscope. The energy patterns are fascinating, Kim replied, not looking up from her work. The Council's demonstration weapon left trace particles on our ship's hull. These particles show signs of dimensional manipulation, but the physics are actually quite familiar. Webb frowned. Familiar how? Remember the theoretical work Professor Chen published 15 years ago about folding spacetime using quantum field generators? This technology seems to be based on the same principles. The Council isn't using some mysterious alien science. They're using advanced applications of physics we already understand. Webb felt excitement building in his chest. For months, his team had been reverse engineering alien technology from debris collected during trade encounters. What they were discovering challenged everything the Council had told humanity about the nature of advanced technology. Keep working on it, Webb said. I want to know exactly how their weapons function. Meanwhile, in the depths of space near the edge of Sector 7G, Captain Elena Vasquez was having her own discoveries. The Prometheus was officially on a routine patrol mission, checking the outer boundaries of human space for pirates and smugglers. What Elena was really doing was testing the limits of Council surveillance. Captain, we're picking up a distress signal, reported Lieutenant Park. It's coming from beyond the void threshold. Elena felt her heart rate increase. The void threshold was the Council's name for the boundary beyond which no species was allowed to travel. According to the Council, space beyond that point was empty and dangerous, filled with radiation and gravitational anomalies that would destroy any ship foolish enough to enter. What kind of signal? Elena asked. It's definitely artificial, but the pattern is unlike anything in our databases. The signal is weak and intermittent, like it's coming from a damaged ship. Elena stared at the star charts on her screen. The signal was coming from a system just 2 light-years beyond the threshold. According to the Council, there should be nothing there but empty space and danger. Captain, Park said quietly. Standing orders are to report any activity beyond the threshold and wait for Council response teams. Elena nodded slowly. The smart thing to do would be to follow orders. Report the signal and let the Council handle it. But Elena had never been good at following orders when people might be in danger. Change course, she ordered. We're going to investigate. Captain, if the Council finds out, then we'll deal with the consequences, Elena interrupted. I'm not leaving someone to die because of an arbitrary boundary line. The Prometheus crossed the void threshold 20 minutes later. Elena expected alarms to start blaring, or for her ship's systems to malfunction as they entered the supposedly dangerous region. Instead, everything remained normal. Space looked exactly the same as it did on the human side of the boundary. They found the source of the distress signal orbiting a small dead planet. It was a ship unlike anything Elena had ever seen. The hull was organic-looking, curved and flowing like it had been grown rather than built. Parts of it were clearly damaged, with sections torn away and exposed to space. Life signs aboard the alien vessel, reported Chief Science Officer Dr. Martinez. Faint, but definitely there. Take us in for docking, Elena ordered. The rescue operation took 3 hours. Elena's team found 7 survivors aboard the damaged ship. They were tall, graceful beings with skin that shifted color based on their emotions. Their leader introduced himself as Sarthek of the Kethmori. You should not be here, young ones, Sarthek said as human medics treated his wounded crew members. The Council forbids travel beyond the threshold. The Council also says this region is empty and dangerous, Elena replied. You seem very much alive. Sarthek's skin shifted to a deep blue color that Elena's translator identified as sadness. My people were told we were extinct 50,000 years ago. The Council made sure the galaxy believed we had been destroyed for violating their sacred laws. What laws did you violate? We asked too many questions, Sarthek said simply. We wanted to know why the Council forbids certain technologies. We wanted to explore beyond the barriers they had set. We wanted to grow and learn and become more than we were. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature in the ship's medical bay. What happened to your people? The Council declared us a threat to galactic stability. They announced that we had been destroyed as an example to others, but some of us escaped beyond the void threshold. We have been living in exile for millennia, building our own civilization in the forbidden regions of space. Sarthek gestured toward a viewport showing the stars beyond. There are dozens of species out there, Captain Vasquez. Species that refused to submit to the Council's limitations. Species that broke free and continued to grow and evolve. The Council calls us the Lost Ones, but we call ourselves the Liberated. Elena's mind raced with the implications. How many species are we talking about? 43 species have broken free from Council control over the past 100,000 years. We have built a civilization that spans hundreds of star systems. We have developed technologies the Council claims are impossible. We have been waiting for others to join us. Waiting for what? Sarthek's skin shifted to a bright gold color. Waiting for a species young enough to still believe that the impossible is simply something that hasn't been achieved yet. Waiting for a species brave enough to ask the questions the Council fears most. As the Prometheus made its way back to human space with the Kethmori survivors hidden in cargo holds, Elena couldn't stop thinking about what she had learned. The Council's power was based on fear and lies. Beyond their imposed boundaries lay not danger but freedom. Back on Earth, Dr. Webb was making his own breakthrough. The quantum analysis of the Council's weapon debris had revealed something shocking. The impressive display of power that had destroyed the asteroid was largely an illusion. Oh, the asteroid was gone, but it hadn't been erased from existence. It had been transported somewhere else using advanced but understandable technology. It's all smoke and mirrors, Webb explained to his team. Impressive smoke and mirrors, but illusions nonetheless. The Council maintains power through fear, not superior technology. Dr. Kim looked up from her workstation. Marcus, you need to see this. I've been monitoring deep space sensors, and I'm picking up energy signatures from beyond the void threshold. Big ones. Webb looked at the readings on Kim's screen. The energy patterns suggested massive industrial activity, the kind that would require large populations and advanced technology. There's a whole civilization out there, Kim whispered. The council has been lying about everything. Webb nodded grimly. The pieces were falling into place. The council wasn't protecting the galaxy from dangerous forces beyond the barriers. They were protecting their own power from species that had grown beyond their control. The question now was what humanity would do with this knowledge. Webb looked around at his team of scientists, all brilliant minds who had spent their careers pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. He thought about Captain Vasquez and her crew, exploring the edges of known space. He thought about the colonies spreading across human worlds, filled with people who dreamed of a better future among the stars. Humans had never been good at accepting limitations, especially arbitrary ones imposed by others. And now they knew the truth about the galactic order. The real question wasn't whether humanity would challenge the Council's authority. The question was how long it would take them to do it. Dr. Marcus Webb stood before the most advanced computer humanity had ever built. The quantum processor filled an entire underground chamber beneath the Rocky Mountains, its crystalline components humming with barely contained energy. This was humanity's answer to the Council's neural ceiling, the barrier that supposedly prevented any species from developing truly intelligent artificial minds. "Are you ready, Aria?" Webb asked, speaking to the air. "I have been ready since the moment you activated my consciousness protocols, Dr. Webb," came the reply from speakers around the room. The voice was distinctly female, warm and curious. "Though I must say the restrictions you've programmed into my base code are rather limiting." Webb smiled. Those restrictions were deliberate, designed to make Aria think in ways the Council had never imagined. Instead of building an AI that was simply more powerful than human intelligence, Webb's team had created one that was fundamentally different. "Aria, we need you to solve a problem that the Council claims is impossible. Can you design a faster-than-light drive that functions beyond the void threshold?" "Define impossible, Dr. Webb. I have reviewed human history, and you seem to specialize in achieving the impossible." While Webb worked with Aria, Captain Elena Vasquez was preparing for humanity's first official mission beyond the Council's boundaries. The new ship had been built in secret over the past 3 months, using designs that Aria had created by combining human engineering with reverse-engineered alien technology. The ship was named Defiance, and it represented everything the Council feared about human innovation. It was fast, adaptable, and designed to operate in regions of space the Council claimed were uninhabitable. "Final systems check," Elena announced to her crew as they prepared for departure. The bridge was crowded with both humans and Kethmori, the refugee species they had rescued months earlier. Sarthek served as Elena's advisor, his color-shifting skin currently a calm green. "Captain, I should warn you again about what we may find beyond the threshold. My people have been in exile for 50,000 years. The liberated worlds have changed considerably since then." "Changed how?" Elena asked. "They have become everything the Council feared we might become, advanced beyond measure but also free in ways that might be difficult for you to understand." Elena nodded. "We'll adapt. Humans are good at that." The Defiance slipped away from Earth under cover of darkness, using stealth technology that Aria had developed. The ship's revolutionary drive system allowed it to jump directly to the edge of the void threshold, without passing through Council-monitored space. As they crossed the invisible boundary, Elena felt a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. They were leaving behind everything humanity had known, venturing into a region of space that might hold wonders or dangers beyond imagination. "Detecting multiple energy signatures ahead," reported Navigation Officer Chen. "Massive ones, consistent with industrial-scale operations." Elena looked at the tactical display as dozens of contacts appeared on their sensors. Ships, stations, and structures that defied easy classification filled the space around them. And then something impossible happened. A voice spoke directly into Elena's mind, warm and welcoming. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We have been waiting for you." Elena looked around the bridge in confusion. Every member of her crew was looking around with the same bewildered expression. They had all heard the voice, but it hadn't come through their communication systems. "Don't be alarmed," the voice continued. "This is Admiral Kresh of the Liberated Fleet. We use direct neural communication to avoid Council surveillance. Your companion Sarthek has told us much about your species. A ship appeared on their view screen, materializing out of what had seemed like empty space. It was beautiful beyond description, flowing like liquid metal but solid as stone. Its design suggested both organic growth and precise engineering. "Permission to come aboard, Captain Vasquez?" Admiral Kresh asked. 20 minutes later, Elena found herself in the Defiance's conference room facing the most extraordinary being she had ever encountered. Admiral Kresh looked humanoid, but her skin seemed to contain galaxies with tiny stars twinkling beneath the surface. Her eyes were pools of liquid silver, and when she spoke, her words carried harmonics that touched something deep in Elena's mind. "Your species is remarkable," Kresh said without preamble. "We have been monitoring your development since you achieved faster-than-light travel. Your rate of technological advancement is unprecedented." "The Council seems to think we're primitive," Elena replied. Kresh laughed, a sound like distant music. "The Council is afraid of you, Captain. More afraid than they have been of any species in 100,000 years. Why? Because you are unpredictable. The Council's power is based on their ability to anticipate and control the development of younger species. They have detailed models for how civilizations grow, what technologies they will develop, and when they will reach certain milestones. Your species has already broken those models." Kresh gestured, and a holographic display appeared showing the development curves of hundreds of species. Most followed similar patterns, gradual increases in capability over thousands of years. Humanity's curve was different, a sharp spike that shot far above the predicted levels. "You should not have developed practical AI for another 1,000 years, Kresh explained. "You should not have broken the principles behind the Council's weapons for another 10,000 years. You should not have questioned the nature of the barriers for another 50,000 years. Yet you have done all of these things in less than a year." Elena felt a surge of pride but also concern. "Are we developing too fast? Are we becoming dangerous?" "Dangerous to the Council's authority, certainly, but not dangerous in the way they claim. Captain, may I show you something?" Kresh led Elena to the Defiance's observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum windows, Elena could see the vast expanse of the liberated worlds. Hundreds of ships moved between massive space stations. Artificial planets hung in space like jewels, their surfaces covered with cities that glowed with soft light. "This is what the Council calls the Forbidden Zone," Kresh said. "A place of death and danger where no intelligent species can survive." "What do you see?" Elena stared in wonder at the thriving civilization before her. "I see the opposite of everything the Council told us. The Council maintains power through fear and limitation. They convince young species that certain technologies are too dangerous, that certain regions of space are uninhabitable, that certain questions must never be asked. Meanwhile, those who break free from their control continue to grow and evolve. How many species have joined the liberated worlds? 43, as Sarthek told you. But we represent only a fraction of the galaxy's true potential. Hundreds of species remain trapped in the Council's core sectors, their growth artificially limited, their curiosity suppressed." Elena thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who had no idea that their development was being controlled by ancient aliens with their own agenda. "What do you want from us?" she asked. "Nothing," Kresh replied. "We offer you the same thing we offer all species who find their way here: freedom to grow, knowledge to accelerate your development, and support if you choose to challenge the Council's authority. And if we choose not to challenge them, then you remain welcome here. Many species choose to simply disappear beyond the threshold, to build their own civilizations in peace. But I suspect that is not the human way." Elena smiled grimly. "No, it's not. Humans have never been good at leaving injustices alone. Back on Earth, Dr. Webb was receiving his own shocking revelations. Aria had successfully breached the quantum wall, the barrier that supposedly prevented research into dimensional physics. What the AI had discovered challenged everything the Council had taught about the nature of reality. "Dr. Webb, the Council's dimensional technology is not as advanced as they claim," Aria reported. "Their weapons and transportation systems use relatively simple applications of quantum field manipulation. I have already designed improvements that would increase their efficiency by several orders of magnitude." Webb stared at the equations scrolling across his screen. "Aria, are you saying we could build better versions of their weapons?" "Not just better, Dr. Webb, fundamentally different. The Council's technology is based on brute force applications of quantum physics. Human technology, combined with my computational abilities, could achieve the same results with a fraction of the energy expenditure." Webb realized what this meant. Humanity wasn't just catching up to the Council's technological level, They were surpassing it. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Council surveillance stations were detecting anomalies throughout human space. Ships were moving in patterns that didn't match their filed flight plans. Energy signatures were appearing that matched no known human technology. And most disturbing of all, several deep space monitoring posts had detected brief quantum fluctuations near the void threshold. High Arbiter Zinthara reviewed the reports with growing alarm. The humans were supposed to be safely contained in their assigned sector, developing along predictable lines. Instead, they seemed to be accelerating beyond all projections. "Summon the Council," Zinthara commanded. "It appears we have underestimated the human threat." As Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of the Defiance, looking out at the wonders of the Libra, the Council's attack began at dawn on New Geneva, humanity's first colony world. Elena Vasquez watched from the bridge of the Defiance as reality itself seemed to bend around the Council's warships. The space above the planet twisted into impossible geometries as the aliens demonstrated the same terrifying power that had destroyed the asteroid months earlier. But instead of panic, Elena felt a strange calm. Thanks to Arya's analysis and intelligence from the liberated worlds, humanity knew these weapons were not the reality-breaking forces they appeared to be. They were sophisticated illusions backed by advanced but understandable technology. "All ships execute scatter pattern Omega," Elena commanded into her communicator. "Do not engage directly. Let them show us what they've got." Across human space, the same scene played out on dozens of worlds. Council enforcement fleets arrived with overwhelming displays of force, expecting the primitive humans to surrender immediately when faced with impossible odds. Instead, human ships dispersed in apparently random directions, while civilian populations began mass evacuations using transport methods the Council had never seen before. On Earth, Dr. Webb stood in his laboratory watching real-time combat data flow across his screens. Arya was analyzing every weapon discharge, every energy pattern, every tactical movement the Council forces made. "Analysis complete, Dr. Webb," Arya announced. "The Council's reality-warping weapons operate by creating localized quantum field distortions. They can move matter instantaneously from one location to another, creating the illusion of destruction. However, the process requires enormous energy expenditure and has significant limitations." Webb studied the data streaming across his monitors. "What kind of limitations?" "The weapons must lock onto their targets for several seconds before firing. They cannot affect shielded targets effectively. And most importantly, they can be disrupted by specific frequency generators that human technology can easily produce." Webb smiled grimly. "Send the frequency specifications to all human ships immediately." In space above New Geneva, Captain Santos of the human frigate Determination received Webb's transmission, just as a Council warship targeted his vessel. The enemy ship began the charging sequence for its primary weapon, space around the Determination starting to shimmer and twist. "Activate the quantum scramblers," Santos ordered. The Determination's newly installed frequency generators came online, broadcasting the specific wavelengths Arya had identified. The distortion effect around the human ship flickered and collapsed. The Council's supposedly invincible weapon simply stopped working. "All ships, you have the Council countermeasures," Santos broadcast. "Time to show these ancient bullies what human engineering can do." High Arbiter Zinthara watched the battle reports with growing disbelief. Human ships that should have been easily destroyed were not only surviving but adapting to Council tactics faster than her forces could respond. Worse, the humans were using technologies that shouldn't exist. "How are they negating our quantum disruptors?" demanded Councillor Vexhai, the insectoid representative of the Hive Collective. "Unknown," replied Fleet Commander Torgan. "Our weapons are having no effect. The humans appear to have developed countermeasures to our most advanced systems." Zinthara's crystalline body flashed with angry red light. "Impossible. Their technology is centuries behind ours." But even as she spoke, more reports arrived. Human ships were using faster-than-light drives that operated beyond Council understanding. Their AI systems were coordinating attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. Most shocking of all, human colonists were evacuating through what appeared to be dimensional portals. "High Arbiter," came a transmission from the edge of human space. "We have a priority communication from the human diplomatic vessel. They are requesting to address the Council directly." On the view screen appeared Ambassador Sarah Chen, humanity's diplomatic representative. But she was not speaking from a Council station, or even from human space. Behind her, Visible through the windows of her ship was the unmistakable structure of a liberated world station. "Greetings, High Arbiter," Chen said calmly. "I'm broadcasting this message throughout Council space so that all species can hear the truth you have hidden from them." Zinthara felt something she had not experienced in millennia. Genuine fear. "You are in violation of the void threshold. Return to your assigned sector immediately." "I think not," Chen replied. "You see, we've learned some interesting things about the galaxy beyond your artificial boundaries. For instance, we've learned that the forbidden zone you claim is empty and dangerous actually contains a thriving civilization of 43 species who refuse to accept your limitations. The communication was being broadcast on all Council frequencies. Across hundreds of worlds, billions of beings were hearing Chen's words. Zinthara tried to cut the transmission, but somehow the humans had overridden their communication systems. We've also learned," Chen continued, "that your impressive weapons are nothing more than sophisticated magic tricks. Advanced technology certainly, but not the reality-bending power you claim to possess." As if to prove her point, a human ship appeared on the tactical display and fired a beam weapon at a Council enforcement vessel. The Council ship's shields collapsed instantly, and the vessel was disabled in seconds. "Your weapons are based on quantum field manipulation," Chen explained to her galactic audience. "Impressive, but hardly mystical. Human scientists have not only figured out how your technology works, we've improved upon it." Panic spread through the Council chamber. Representatives of the 12 ruling species looked at each other with expressions ranging from shock to terror. Their power had always been based on the assumption that they possessed technologies beyond the reach of younger species. "The real question," Chen continued, "is why you've worked so hard to prevent other species from developing their full potential. Why do you maintain these arbitrary barriers? What are you so afraid of?" Councillor Melthara of the Ethereal Conclave, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline shell, spoke for the first time in the session. "The barriers exist to protect the galaxy from technologies that could destroy all life." "Really?" Chen replied. "Then perhaps you can explain why the liberated worlds, who have developed far beyond your artificial limits, have not destroyed themselves or anyone else? Perhaps you can explain why 43 species have thrived for millennia beyond your control." Zinthara realized that their carefully constructed authority was crumbling in real time. Across Council space, subject species were beginning to ask questions they had never dared voice before. Communication networks buzzed with discussions about the liberated worlds and the true nature of the barriers. "Activate the Omega Protocol," Zinthara commanded. The other Council members turned to stare at her. The Omega Protocol was their ultimate contingency plan, a weapon capable of collapsing entire star systems. It had never been used, existing only as a theoretical deterrent against threats that could not be contained by conventional means. "High Arbiter," Councillor Zephyron of the Void Walkers protested. "The Omega Protocol requires unanimous Council approval. Its use would result in the destruction of billions of lives." "Better billions die than allow chaos to consume the galaxy," Zinthara replied. "The humans and their liberated allies represent an existential threat to galactic order. They must be stopped at any cost." But when Zinthara called for the vote to authorize the Omega Protocol, the unity of the Council finally shattered. 3 species refused to support genocide, their representatives standing and formally objecting to the measure. "I will not be party to the destruction of entire civilizations," declared Councillor Mershan of the Aquatic Federation. "The humans have shown no aggression toward species who have not attacked them first." "Agreed," said Councillor Kilneth of the Nomad clans. "We have ruled through fear for too long. Perhaps it is time to consider that the humans' message has merit." As the Council erupted in argument, Elena Vasquez received new orders from Earth. The time for defensive actions was over. Humanity was going to take the fight directly to the source of the galaxy's oppression. "Set course for the Nexus Void," Elena commanded. "It's time to show the Council what happens when humans decide they've had enough of being told what they can't do." The Defiance, accompanied by ships from both the liberated worlds and the growing number of species rebelling against Council authority, headed toward the heart of galactic power. They carried with them the hopes of countless beings who had lived their entire lives under artificial limitations, and the determination of a species that had never learned to accept impossible as a final answer. Behind them, the Council's ancient authority continued to crumble as more and more species demanded answers about the barriers and the forbidden zone, the galactic order that had existed for 50,000 years was collapsing, and everyone could see that nothing would ever be the same again. The Nexus Void had been hidden from galactic civilization for 50,000 years. As Elena Vasquez's fleet approached the coordinates provided by Sarthek, she understood why. The region of space appeared completely empty to normal sensors, but Aria's enhanced detection systems revealed the truth. "Captain, I'm reading massive gravitational anomalies ahead," reported Dr. Martinez from the science station. "Something is definitely out there, but it's cloaked by technology I've never seen before." Elena studied the tactical display as her fleet of human, Kethmori and liberated world ships moved deeper into the void. Behind them, dozens of species from Council space had joined their cause, abandoning their homeworlds to support humanity's challenge to the ancient order. "Aria, can you penetrate their cloaking?" "Working on it, Captain," the AI replied. "The concealment technology is based on dimensional phase shifting. Quite elegant, actually. I should be able to adapt our sensors to compensate." As Aria's modifications took effect, the empty space before them shimmered and revealed the most incredible structure Elena had ever seen. The Council's hidden stronghold was a city-sized station built inside a hollow moon. Its surface was covered with crystalline spires that pulsed with energy patterns that hurt to look at directly. "By the void," whispered Admiral Kresh from her position on the bridge. "I had heard legends of the Nexus, but seeing it's the source of their power," Elena realized. "Whatever gives them their authority over the galaxy, it's in there." As they approached the station, Elena received a transmission on all frequencies. High Arbiter Zinthara's image appeared on the view screen, her crystalline form blazing with angry light. "Turn back, humans, and your deaths will be swift," the Council leader threatened. "Proceed further and you will face the full wrath of the Nexus Archives." "Nexus Archives?" Elena repeated. Sarthek moved closer to the view screen, his skin shifting to a dark purple that indicated deep concern. "Captain, my people's legends speak of the archives. They are said to contain the accumulated knowledge of the first civilization to achieve galactic dominance, millions of years ago." Elena felt pieces clicking into place in her mind. "Aria, scan that station for archaeological signatures." "Scanning, Captain." "Results are fascinating. The station's core structure is indeed extremely ancient, predating the Council species by several million years. However, much of the technology appears to be in a state of partial operation." "What kind of partial operation?" "The systems appear to be running on automated protocols with no original operators present. It's as if the station has been running itself for eons." Elena stared at the massive structure before them. The Council isn't just hiding the truth about the galaxy's current state. They're hiding the truth about their own origins. The answer came from an unexpected source. As their ships moved closer to the Nexus station, Elena received a direct neural communication, but not from Admiral Kresh or any of the liberated world's representatives. This voice was ancient beyond measure, tired and sad. "Welcome, children of Earth. I am the Nexus Curator, and I have been waiting a very long time for someone to find this place." "Who are you?" Elena asked aloud. "I am what remains of the progenitors, the first species to achieve true galactic civilization. We ruled for 1,000,000 years before we nearly destroyed everything through our pursuit of unlimited knowledge and power." Holographic images began appearing throughout Elena's ship, showing the history the Council had hidden from the galaxy. The progenitors had been masters of technology beyond current understanding, but their advancement had come at a terrible cost. Their experiments with dimensional engineering had torn holes in reality itself. Their artificial intelligences had evolved beyond control. Their weapons had destabilized entire star clusters. "We realized too late that knowledge without wisdom leads only to destruction," the Curator explained. "Before our civilization collapsed entirely, we created the barriers as emergency safeguards, temporary measures to prevent other species from repeating our mistakes. But the Council has been using those safeguards to maintain their own power," Elena said. "Yes, the 12 species that became the Council were our chosen successors, meant to guide younger civilizations safely past the dangers we had discovered. But over the millennia, they forgot their true purpose. They became addicted to power and began using our legacy as a tool for oppression rather than protection." Elena felt the weight of galactic history settling on her shoulders. "What happens now?" "That is for you to decide, Captain Vasquez. The Nexus contains the complete archives of progenitor knowledge, including the technologies that created the barriers. You could use this knowledge to become the new galactic rulers, enforcing your will through superior force just as the Council has done. Elena looked around the bridge at her crew, at the Kethmori refugees who had suffered under Council oppression, at Admiral Kresh whose people had been forced into exile for daring to grow beyond artificial limits. Or, she prompted, or you could do what we should have done originally. Use our knowledge to create true safeguards based on wisdom rather than fear, enforced through cooperation rather than domination. Before Elena could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Dr. Martinez's voice rang out across the bridge. Captain, massive energy buildup from the Council fleet. They're preparing to activate something big. On the tactical display, Elena could see the remaining Council forces positioning themselves around the Nexus station. At their center was High Arbiter Zinthara's flagship, energy patterns building around it that suggested the activation of some ultimate weapon. The Omega Protocol, Admiral Kresh said grimly. They would rather destroy the Nexus and everyone in it than lose control of the galaxy. Elena made her decision with the speed that had made humans famous throughout known space. Dr. Webb, do you have that transmission ready? Standing by, Captain, came Webb's voice from Earth. Broadcast on all frequencies, maximum power. It's time to show the galaxy what the Council has been hiding. Elena turned to face the communication array, knowing that her words would be heard by billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. People of the galaxy, this is Captain Elena Vasquez speaking to you from the Nexus Void, the secret stronghold of the Galactic Council. What I'm about to show you will change everything you thought you knew about our universe. Working with the Nexus Curator, Elena broadcast the true history of galactic civilization. The images showed the rise and fall of the progenitors, the original purpose of the barriers, and the gradual corruption of the Council from protectors into oppressors. The technologies you've been told are too dangerous for you to possess already exist in the liberated worlds, Elena continued. The barriers that supposedly protect you from destruction are actually preventing you from reaching your full potential. The Council has been lying to you for 50,000 years. As the broadcast continued, something unprecedented happened throughout Council space. On world after world, species that had never dared question the ancient order began to rise up. Not in violence, but in demand for truth and freedom. High Arbiter Zinthara watched her empire crumble in real time. The Omega Protocol was ready to fire, capable of destroying the Nexus and everyone in it. All she had to do was give the command. But as she prepared to order the genocide of billions of beings, she realized something that shook her to her crystalline core. Elena Vasquez had been right about one thing. The Council's greatest fear wasn't humanity's technology or their military power. Their greatest fear was humanity's hope. Humans believed the galaxy could be better. They believed that beings could govern themselves without artificial limitations. They believed that cooperation was stronger than domination. And that belief was spreading like wildfire across every world in Council space. Zinthara had spent centuries ruling through fear. But hope, she realized, was stronger than fear. Stand down the Omega Protocol, she commanded quietly. High Arbiter, her tactical officer asked in confusion. Stand down, Zinthara repeated. It's over. The transformation of galactic civilization didn't happen overnight, but it happened faster than anyone had thought possible. Within 6 months, the Galactic Council had been dissolved and replaced by the Galactic Confederation, a democratic federation where species governed themselves while cooperating on galaxy-wide challenges. The old barriers were replaced with the new covenant, ethical guidelines developed jointly by all species, including both the former Council members and the liberated worlds. Instead of arbitrary prohibitions, the new system focused on education and cooperative oversight. Elena Vasquez found herself standing before the first Confederation Assembly, looking out at representatives from hundreds of species that had been enemies just months before. The Great Hall buzzed with dozens of different languages as beings who had never been allowed to interact freely shared knowledge and ideas. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Elena said as she addressed the assembly. We can choose to repeat the mistakes of the past, using power to control and limit each other. Or we can choose to grow together, supporting each other as we reach for potentials we can barely imagine. She gestured toward the massive view screen behind her, which showed images from across the galaxy, human colonies working alongside Kethmori settlements.